So good day everyone. In today's video, we are going to discuss fostering student goal settings. And my name is Nikka Damaso. Before we proceed to our discussion, let us proceed to our learning objectives. The first one is we are going to explain the meaning and importance of goal settings. Second is relate goal settings to a student achievement. The third one is discuss the misconceptions about goal settings. The fourth is discuss the phases of goal settings. And the last, we will going to discuss the different strategies for goal settings. So in the first slide, students learn best when they are actively and intentionally engaged in their own learnings. That means student will learn if they are willing and motivated in their own learnings. And the role of the teacher is to work or make a plan with different kind of strategies that can help the learners to develop their skills and knowledge. So teachers intentionally work and develop self-regulated learners. When we say self-regulated learners, according to Harris and Graham, it refers to the one's ability to understand and control one's learning environment. So when we say self-regulations, abilities includes goal settings na mamaya madi-discuss natin. Next slide, sir. So in reality, few teachers use their day-to-day and minute-by-minute work in the classroom to help students learn how to learn. So yung mga teacher daw is ginagawa yung best nila or yung work nila para lang matulungan yung students learn how to learn. And dahil dun sa sa ganung gawain ng mga teachers, as a result, yung ibang students lack both the skills and will to harness the workings of their own minds. Kasi nga, nagiging parang spoon feeding na yung nagagawa dun sa pagtuturo ng mga teacher. Hindi na nila nahahayaan yung mga students na sila mismo yung gumamit ng sarili nilang mga utak. Next slide, sir. So yan, what is goal? So goal is what the student is trying to learn or achieve, outcome or accomplishment. While the goal settings naman, ito yung ina-achieve mo na yung specific target or specific goal in a realistic or strategic way. According to Locke and Laham, a cognitive process that effectively energizes a student to become more productive. So kung pinag-uusapan is yung goal, ito yung mismong specific target ng student, yung gusto niyang ma-achieve. While the goal settings, ito na yung gumagawa na siya dito ng mga paraan or yung students para ma-achieve niya yung specific goal or target niya, gumagawa na siya ng way in a realistic or iba't ibang strategy para makuha niya yung target or specific goal niya. Next, sir. So goal settings and goal achievement influence learning and generate motivation to learn in two important ways. The first one is to provide a learning target that students can see and understand. So yung goal settings or goal achievement, nagpo-provide siya ng learning target na maiintindihan ng students. And yung second is helping students gather informations about how they are doing in a pursuit of that target. So yung second naman, tinutulungan na yung students mag-gather ng informations para ma-accomplish nila or makuha nila yung target na gusto nilang ma-achieve. Next, sir. So how does goal settings affect student learning and achievement? So yung high achievement students daw, alam nila kung kailan sila kailangan matuto. And the students who have internalized these important principles, etong mga students na meron na silang sinet sa sarili nila or nag-set na sila ng goal at alam nilang i-monitor yung sarili nila, ito daw yung mga student na kaya nila i-achieve yung specific goal na gusto nilang makuha. And the formative assessment process boosts student achievement. So yung paggawa o pagbigay ng formative assessment ng teachers sa students, nakakapag-boost din daw ng um, nakakapag-boost din daw sa student para yung parang ma-trigger sila para magawa nila yung mismo para makuha nila o ma-achieve nila yung specific target or goal nila. Next, sir. So goal settings helps everyone in the classroom learn how to learn. It helps students learn how to learn in 4 main ways. Yung first is goal-focused students' attention on learning tasks and the learning targets. So dito, because of the goal, the students will pay attention on the learning. And then sa second is goal stimulates appropriate student effort. When a student has a goal, it also requires effort para ma-achieve niya yung specific goal or target niya. And then yung sa pangatlo, goal increased student persistence. So it makes students to have determination kasi nga kapag meron silang goal, ini-aim nila na ma-achieve agad yon. And then yung fourth, goal increased students' desire and capacity to learn new strategies. So it makes students increase their capacity to learn new strategies. Kapag syempre, example, kapag meron kang goal as a student, para ma-achieve mo yung goal na yun, gagawa ka or pag-aaralan mo yung mga steps or yung way para makuha mo or ma-achieve mo yung target or yung goal mo. Sunod, sir. So, dumako naman tayo ngayon sa misconceptions. What common misconceptions my teachers hold about goal settings? Yung una dyan, it is important that the students have goals that inspire them to achieve more. And dito sa may misconception number 1, kailangan kapag meron kang goal, kailangan precise and detailed. Kapag sinabi nating precise, yung mga ginagawa mong way para ma-achieve mo yung goal, kailangan accurate at saka correct. And yung sa susunod naman, effective goal setting is continuous process of learning how to learn. So yung goal settings, kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, yung goal settings, ito yung way mo para ma-achieve mo yung specific target, di ba? Yung gumagawa ka ng mga strategy para ma-achieve mo or ma-achieve mo.
Sir Meryl, you might accidentally on your mic. Thank you po.
So yan, going back, kapag yung nga sinabi ko sa'yo, effective daw yung goal setting kapag ito ay continuous process. So gumagawa ka or hindi ka tumitigil, continuous yung learnings mo or yung ginagawa mong way para ma-achieve yung specific target. And then yung panghuli, effective goal are precise. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung effective goal, kailangan precise or accurate. And kasi kapag sinabi nating precise, ine-emphasize nito yung exact and particular thing. So dapat, kung meron kang goal, nakafocus ka lang doon kung paano mo siya ma-achieve. So yun yung misconception number 1. And to continue the discussion, may we call on another discussant.
Meryl, you are not audible po. Maybe it's the problem with the earphones po.
Audible na ba ako?
Hindi pa rin po audible, sir.
Ito audible na?
Yes po, you are audible enough.
Okay. So thank you. For the misconception, number 2, goal setting is planned event to help students prepare for the next unit, report period, or part of the school year. So in this statement explains that yung mga ibang teachers daw is madalas na they perceive the goal setting as one-time activity na ginagawa lang during the beginning of the school year, unit, or report card period. So they view it as a time when the students articulate their aspiration for the upcoming weeks or months. So also, they treating the goal setting as a singular event. It is crucial to recognize na kailangan integrate yung entire learning process. So the student should regularly engage in setting goals or selecting the strategies, which is madidiscuss natin later on. So for the strategic talking points, goal setting is an ongoing and continuous part of the formative assessment process. So in this context, goal setting plays a crucial role in helping learners identify yung mga kung ano ba yung mga kailangan or mga gusto nilang ma-achieve in the future. So these goals is serves as a benchmark or milestones that learners can work towards and provide a sense of direction and purpose in the learning process. So by integrating the goal setting kasi sa formative assessment process, yung mga learners can focus in achieving their goals. So for the second strategic talking points, teachers and their students use the goal setting process to constantly inform their learning decisions in the classroom. So yung teachers and students is both na nagbe-benefit from using the goal setting process in the classroom. So it allows kasi na makapag-plan ng maayos yung ng instructions yung mga teachers, and also mas nakikita nila yung mga progress ng students nila. So for the students, setting goals enhance their motivation and self-direction and self-assessment skill to empower them to take charge sa sarili nilang pagkatuto. So next slide. For the misconception number 3, goal setting is a study skill. So marami sa mga teachers are arguing about to their main focus. Yung ibang teacher, sinasabi nila na yung main focus lang nila is to help yung mga students in learning course content. And also, kinoconsider nila na yung pagtuturo ng mga study skills is outside of their responsibility, which is wrong. So the teacher have the responsibility to teach the students about the study skill. And also, it essential na ituro nila yung study skill to help the students effectively manage their time and set priorities and stay motivated. Kapag kasi yung mga students has lack of study skills, pwede yun maging problema, like hindi na sila marunong mag-organize ng time at work nila, and dahil doon pwede yun mag-lead in procrastination and poor performance sa school ng mga students. So for strategic talking points, the first is goal setting is learning process that helps students learn how to learn during the day-to-day, minute-by-minute work of the classroom. So by integrating yung goal setting sa pang-araw-araw na activities inside the classroom, natutulungan ng mga teachers yung mga students na ma-develop yung mga crucial skills nila in a specific subject matter. And also, goal setting kasi, in-enhance nito yung mga academic performance ng mga bata and nurtures the lifelong learning habits. So, number 2, students of all ages and in all grades learn more effectively and construct conceptual understanding in more meaningful ways when they take ownership of their learning through the goal-setting process. So when students actively participate in the goal-setting process, they experience more effective and meaningful learning. So taking ownership of their education allow the students to personalize their learning and become self-directed learners. And also, it developed their metacognitive skills. And it embrace yung growth mindset and actively engage in the learning process. So by empowering the students to set and pursue their goals, so yung educators can promote a student-centered approach that nurtures the love for learning and facilitate deep conceptual understanding. So, next slide. Okay, what is the motivation connection? So, goal setting generates motivation to learn by focusing students' attention on the gap between where they are and where they are heading. So, knowing the distance between where you are and where you want to become is fundamental motivational principle according to Lack and Latham. So sa pag-set ng mga purpose, nagiging clear sa mga students yung gap that separates their current ability or knowledge from their desired level of success. So sa pagkakaroon ng understanding sa mga gap na yon, is pinapersuade nito yung mga students na kumilos para ma-overcome yung bawat gap na yon. So by understanding that gap, pwede silang makagawa ng action na um, action para ma-overcome and ma-achieve yung mga goal nila despite of that gap. So setting goals is indeed effective way to keep learners motivated and focused on their learning journey. So yung goals kasi na yun, it provide a sense of direction and purpose. Nagka-create yon ng clear roadmap and binibigyan nila ng nito yung mga learners na something na kailangan nilang i-achieve para sa pagkatuto nila or para may our goal kung bakit sila nag-aaral. So in motivational connection, meron tayong 3 phases. For the phase 1, next slide, setting the goal. So for the phase 1, setting a goal means deciding kung ano yung gusto mong ma-achieve in your learning. It's like having a target to aim for. So kapag ka magse-set ka ng goal, importante na gumawa ka ng specific na focus on something na pwede mong ma-accomplish in the short term. Minsan, by setting a goal, medyo nagiging tricky siya for us kasi minsan we feel overwhelmed na or unsure kung ano ba yung dapat na i-aim natin. So that's important na meron tayong clear understanding kung ano yung goals natin. For example, 'di ba kapag if you're learning math, instead na sinasabi natin I want to be good at math, you can set a specific goal like I want to be solved or I want to be able to solve a multiplication problems with 2-digit numbers within a week. Ibig sabihin, you need to set a specific goal and you don't need to set a baggy goal na kagaya ng sinabi ko nung umpisa. So by that, nagkakaroon tayo ng step-by-step process papunta doon sa goal natin. And also kapag mayroon tayong clear goal, it helps us to measure yung progress and see how well you are doing. So in the phase 1, meron tayong figure which is makikita natin kung ano ba yung mga dapat na gagawin natin for setting a goal. So setting is just right goal that helps to work smarter and stay engaged. So kagaya nung sa may figure na ipapakita ko sa inyo, ito for the left side, makikita natin yung mga hindi dapat natin na ginagawa for setting a goal. And dun naman sa mga right side, makikita nyo yung mga dapat naman natin na ginagawa for setting a goal. So, just too hard or too easy. Kapag kasi magsa-set tayo ng kapag kasi when we are settings, they don't try kasi kapag nakikita nilang mahirap or may hirapan sila and the same naman na kapag masyadong madali, hindi na nila tinatry. So dapat when we are going to set a goal, kailangan just right difficulty so the students will work hard and stay engaged in the goal that they set. Kapag naman too bagyo, nakagaya naman ng sinabi ko kanina, kagaya ng sinabi ko kanina na kapag gusto mong matuto ng math subjects or gusto mong maging marunong sa math subjects, you need to set a specific goal. So by that is magkakaroon tayo ng step-by-step process papunta doon sa goal natin. So for the phase 2, next slide. Selecting the strategy. So it is important na mag-iisip tayo ng strategy after setting a goal. And also, it is important because tutulungan tayong ma-determine yung best approach para ma-achieve yung goals natin. Once kasi na mayroon kang clear idea of what you want to accomplish, you need to figure out kung paano ma-accomplish yon. So by selecting a strategy doesn't mean it's a set in stone. kapag nag-engage tayo doon sa learning journey natin, pwedeng makadiscover pa tayo ng mga strategies or ibang way on how to approach or kung paano natin ma-achieve ng mas maganda yung trabaho natin. So dapat lagi kang handa na mag-experiment and willing to adapt your strategy if needed to maximize your learning potential. So next slide. So in this phase, the students have the strategies or techniques that they have learned to help them to improve their learning. So for example, let's say na yung goal ng students is to improve their learning comprehension. So during their reading activities, pwede siyang gumamit ng strategies like highlighting the important information or taking notes or magtanong siya sa sarili niya ng mga question na may kinalaman doon sa text na binasa niya. So by doing these things, kaya niyang i-monitor yung understanding and gumawa ng adjustment kapag na-realize niya na they're not comprehending the material well. Next. So continuous process. This continuous process is called a formative goal setting. Sabi dito, the continuous process of setting a goal, choosing a strategy, and assessing performance, all focus on improving learning during the task at hand, is what gives formative goal setting its power for increasing student achievement and motivation to learn. So this continuous process is called a formative goal settings. So tinawag siyang formative because it happens during the learning process. So hindi lang siya at the end na nangyayari. So it's all about making improvements and adjustments para ma-achieve yung better results. So formative goal setting is powerful because it helps the students na ma-improve yung learning nila while they're actually doing the task. So it also increases yung motivations nila na matuto because they can see their growth and feel a sense of accomplishment. Next. So goal setting empower the students because it not only guides their journey but also help them to recognize and monitor their learning progress along the way. So kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina na the continuous process or the goal or yung goal setting is in-empower nito yung students because nagsisilbi yung guide sa pag-aaral nila or sa pagkatuto nila, and also nagiging motivation din ng students yon to achieve kung ano ba yung gusto nilang ma-achieve in the future. So may I go on the next reporter to continue our report? So
Ayan, good day po sa ating lahat. I'm Rachel Joy Marie S. Cortez from BS Ed Filipino. So, ngayon naman, dumako na tayo sa what are specific strategies I can share with teachers. So, una natin dyan is using feedback that feeds forward. Effective feedback helps students judge their current level of performance. When teachers provide information that tells students that they are performing below the learning target, it causes dissatisfaction and negative emotions. Kapag sinabi nating effective feedback, ibig sabihin, tinutulungan nito yung mga students na malaman kung paano ba or naging okay ba yung performance na ginawa niya. Pero alam naman natin, kapag nagbibigay tayo ng feedback, dapat specific and descriptive yung pagbibigay natin ng feedback. Hindi pwede na sasabihin lang natin na maganda, na tama or mali yung ginawa ng students. Dapat detailed yung mga feedback na ibinabato natin sa mga performance ng students. Ngayon, merong basics of giving feed forward. Yung feed forward naman, ang nag-conceptualize nito ay si Marshall Goldsmith. So, yung first yung first basic of giving feed forward first is to reinforce what is working. Ibig sabihin, before mo punahin yung mga bad sides ng performance ng bata, i-identify mo muna and i-share mo yung mga positives na-observe mo doon sa bata. Na bigyan mo siya ng mga suggestions. Yung mga, kapag nagbigay ka ng mga suggestions, ayun na yung feeds forward. Pero kapag dinescribe mo lang or ginudge mo lang yung feedback, ay yung performance ng bata, ayun yung sinasabi nating feedback. Pangalawa naman, coach and don't criticize. Di ba nga kapag sa mga athlete, meron silang mga coach na kung saan sila yung nag-guide for them na malaman yung mga strategies na gagawin nila para at least manalo. Dito naman, yung coach, don't criticize, dapat isupport mo yung learning opportunities with positive emotions sa mga students. Ibig sabihin, if you suggest sa mga bata, dapat ay magagawa nila yon or attainable yung suggestion na sinabi mo. And last is provide ideas for next time. Dito natin makikita yung difference between feedback and feeds forward. Kapag sinabi nating feedback, meaning dinadescribe mo lang kung ano yung performance nung bata. Pwede mong sabihin na, halimbawa, kapag nag-present siya or nag-demo siya, sasabihin mo na masyadong marami yung slides mo sa PowerPoint. Pero kapag feeds forward yung ginamit mo, ang sasabihan mo, next time you present, i-recommend na bawasan mo yung slides sa PowerPoint. So, magkaiba yung feedback and feeds forward. So, next slide po. Next naman, yung modeling goal setting. When teachers model goal setting and allow students to become goal setting models for each other, they help each student develop the skill and the will to learn more and learn smarter. Dito naman, dapat you as a teacher, ikaw mismo, alam mo kung ano yung goal. Alam mo kung ano dapat yung matutunan ng student mo at alam mo kung ano yung gagawin mo para matuto sila. Kasi parang sa'yo or since ikaw yung nangunguna, ikaw yung nagmo-model, ikaw talaga yung tutularan ng mga student para maabot nila yung goal setting na iyon. At dapat, syempre, tulungan mo rin sila na malaman or ma-aim yung mga goal setting or yung mga objectives na ibinabato mo sa kanila. Next slide po. And next, providing goal-setting guides. Goal-setting guides are a good way to help students internalize and visualize how to set goals and regulate their performance in a realistic and strategic way. Dito naman kasi, di ba, kapag may guide ka talagang sinusundan, ay sure na maaring hindi ka magkakamali or maaring maging maganda yung magiging kalabasan ng performance mo. So, mahalaga talaga na merong goal-setting guides nang sa ganun, yung bata, alam niya kung ano yung gagawin niya step by step and also ma-visualize niya kung ano yung magiging outcome nung performance na gagawin niya. Next slide po. Ngayon naman, how will I recognize goal setting when I see it? To be effective, goal setting must be part of everything that happens in the classroom. So look for evidence that goal setting is a process and not an event. Dito, nakakonekta yung lesson plan. Kasi sa lesson plan, yung mga nakalagay doon is konektado siya doon sa SMART na acronym. Kapag sinabi natin SMART, yung specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Ibig sabihin, yung mga nakalagay doon ay mismong goal setting. Kasi nai-aim siya at malinaw siya doon sa mga bata. Pangalawa, look for charts or posters that remind students of the importance of having goals or that list and describe goal setting steps. Ito na yung about naman sa environment ng classroom mo. Lagyan mo ng mga, ayun nga, nakalagay mga posters na ma-encourage yung student na na malaman yung importansya o yung kahalagahan ng pagkakaroon ng goals at ano ba yung kahalagahan kung bakit kailangan ng mga goal setting guides. And next slide po. Ayan, dito na tayo sa modeling goal setting through goal-directed language. So, meron tayo ditong tables. Una natin dyan yung goal setting phases, specific steps help the students and yung what the teacher might say. So, first one, set the goal. Set the goal. So, recognize the learning goal. Etong recognize the learning goal, eto na mismo yung objective. Kasi etong concept na to is naka-align siya doon sa classroom setup kung ano nga ba yung ginagawa sa loob ng classroom or yung discussion ng guro sa loob ng classroom. First, recognize the learning goal. Ibig sabihin, dapat ikaw na teacher, alam mo mismo kung ano ba yung pag-aaralan sa isang linggo or maaaring sa isang araw. Kaya nakalagay dito sa what the teacher might say, this week we will learn about the 9 parts of the human eye. So specific lamang yung nilagay ni teacher na pag-aaralan nila. Pangalawa, clarify the level of challenge. Dito naman, kung anong parte or anong bahagi doon yung pag-aaralan. So, nakalagay, we will learn all 9 parts, not just some of them. So, buong 9 parts of the eye yung pag-aaralan. Kaya nakalagay dito yung challenge, yung level of challenge, kung gaano nga ba karami o gaano nga ba ka konti. Pangatlo, identify the specific bite-sized chunks that make the goal realistic and achievable and against with which students will gauge their progress. Dito naman, 'di ba, isang sa SMART meron yung S, yung specific. Dapat specific mismo yung steps na sasabihin sa mga students nang sa ganon alam nila at hindi nila i-generalize kung ano nga ba yung mismong pag-aaralan. Kaya nakalagay that there are many things to learn about the eye, but we are going to concentrate on learning to pronounce the name, each part, locate it, and describe. So, ayun yung mismong pag-aaralan. First is to pronounce, to locate, and to describe. Kaya naka-specific siya at syempre attainable yung mismong objective na yon. And next, draw their attention to the learning time frame and how at the end of the time frame they will be asked to demonstrate their learning. Ito naman, kinapapalooban naman to nung T, yung time bound. Dapat alam kung gaano lang katagal pag-aaralan or kailan mismo magagamit yung mga hinati-hating parts ng mga students. So, next slide po. Next is select a powerful set of learning strategies. Kung yung nauna about content, dito naman nakapaloob na dito yung mga strategies na gagawin ni teacher. First, identify and use appropriate information resources. Yung resources, ito yung gagamitin ni teacher sa pagtuturo niya kung paano matututo yung bata. Maaari ay nakalagay dito na gagamit sila ng textbook or 3D model. O kaya naman, maaari silang gumamit ng mock-up models. Kapag sinabi nating mock-up models, ayun yung mga models na detachable. At kapag detachable siya, syempre, mapapakita mo na maliwanag at masasabi mo kung ano yung function nun doon mismo sa bagay na yon. Pangalawa, pinpoint strategies for meaningful collaborative learning. Diba, meron namang mga bata na mas prefer din minsan yung mga collaborative learning activities na kung saan alam nila na doon sila mas matututo. Kaya kailangan rin ng strategies na collaborative learning. And last, prepare to use their time strategically. You have 4 days to learn the parts of the eye. By Wednesday, you should know at least 4 parts and by Friday, you should know them all. So, naka-specific talaga kung anong date, kung anong part yung pag-aaralan nila para nang sa ganun is mahati-hati at ma-consume yung tamang araw at tamang oras. Next po.
May I ask to interrupt the discussion po muna because only 4 minutes is left na lang po dun sa may discussion na lang natin sa Zoom po. Pwedeng i-end lang po muna natin etong meet po ito and let's meet another batch po for discussion. So, thank you po. Let's end pa lang po itong meet na ito. Thank you po.
Ayan. So, we will continue our lesson na po about goal setting. So, next slide, sir. Next naman is self-assess and self-regulate. Kung yung nauna kanina is about content, pangalawa is about strategies, dito naman, ito na yung assessment. First, create a plan to assess their learning all along the way. Dito kasi, di ba, nakapasok na dito yung formative assessment na kung saan ginagawa siya before, during, and after the discussion. So, ito yung magandang way para malaman yung knowledge ng bata kung natututo ba siya sa mga strategies na ibinibigay mo o ipinapagawa mo. Pangalawa, ask strategic questions to identify the just right next step. Ask yourself, where I am now, what should I do next? Eto na yung tinatrack mo na yung mga improvement mo na nakuha mo sa teacher. Dapat alam mo rin kung natututo ka ba or hindi, para nang sa ganun ay alam din ng guro kung siya ba mismo i-adjust niya yung mga strategies na ginagawa niya para ma-assess yung bata. Pangatlo, uncover roadblocks and design specific ways to overcome them. Overcome them. Dito na yung mga hindrance, yung nag-hindrance sa pagkatuto ng bata. Dapat maging maganda yung daloy ng pagtuturo as long as yung pagkatuto. And last, monitor which learning strategies are working well and which should be adjusted or changed. Self-regulate. Dito nga nasabi ko na kanina, dapat malaman ng guro kung yung mga strategies niya ba ay ipupush niya pa o kailangan i-adjust niya para makuha ng bata yung knowledge na dapat niyang makuha. So dito nga sa pangatlo is all about assessment. And last po, next slide sir. And last, set the next goal. Una, about content. Pangalawa, strategies. Pangatlo, assessment. Dito naman na yung application. First, envision the next learning goal. Kung napag-aralan na lahat ng mga naumpisahan mula dun sa objectives is napag-aralan na, dito naman na malalaman yung importance kung bakit isinagawa yun or bakit ayun yung pinag-aralan. Kasi nga, natapos na ng guro at ng mga bata yung dapat na makuha nila within sa school. Dito naman na pumapasok kung paano nila yun maa-apply doon naman sa ibang context ng learning environment. So, ayun lang po yung part ko. So, next reporter please.
So, ayan. Good day everyone. I am Mikee Laxamana. Ngayon naman, proceed na tayo sa mga samples of goal-setting guides na maaari ngang gamitin ng mga students para nga ma-achieve nila yung mga goals na gusto nilang ma-achieve. So, first is, ayan nga, my goals. So, dito, ilalagay mo kung ano nga ba yung...
I think you're having a problem with audio po. Medyo shaky yung audio niya po. Pwedeng pakitry lang po ulit na off mic po, then on mic po para hindi po maging shaky yung audio. Thank you po.
Ayan. Hello po, naririnig na po ba ako?
Yes, ma'am. Loud and clear na po.
Ayan, so again, good day everyone. I am Mikee Laxamana. So ngayon na is proceed nga tayo sa mga samples of goal setting guides na maaaring gamitin ng mga students para ma-achieve nga nila yung mga goals na gusto nilang ma-achieve. So first is my goals. Ayan, ilalagay dito nakalagay kung ano nga ba yung sabi nga diyan, this is my goals. So ano nga ba yung kung ano nga ba yung goals ng isang bata? Halimbawa, yung goals niya is maging magaling sa arts. So ilalagay niya diyan. So next is I will be able to reach my goals because I am good at doing this. So ilalagay niya rin dito kung saan nga ba siya magaling na konektado pa rin sa goals na gusto niyang ma-achieve. Next is, I need to work this. Siyempre, kailangan din niyang ilalagay niya dyan kung ano nga ba yung mga dapat niyang gawin para nga yung mga work na dapat niyang gawin para nga ma-achieve niya yung gusto niyang ma-achieve. Next is, I can count on these people to help me. Ilalagay niya rin dito kung sino nga ba yung mga maaring mga persons na maaring makatulong sa kanya to achieve their goals or her goals. Ayan, kung halimbawa yung mga teachers, ganyan, yung mga experts sa arts, ganon. So next po. Next is, this is exactly what I'm going to do. So ilalagay niya din dyan kung ano nga ba yung mga exactly na gagawin niya to achieve para ma-achieve niya yung goals niya. And sunod, this is how I will check my progress along the way, and this is when I plan to reach my goal. Ilalagay niya rin dito yung mga plan niya para to reach, yung mga plan niya para ma-reach niya yung goals na gusto niya. Halimbawa, yung magsisipag siya, ganyan. And the last one is, this goals is important to me for this reason. So ilalagay niya dito yung mga reason kung bakit nga importante sa kanya na ma-achieve niya yung goal na gusto niya. So next po. So the next sample of goal setting guides is para rin siyang yung naunang goal setting guide. Pero dito meron na siyang to-do list. So dito naman nakalagay nga yung goal mo and also yung mga daily activities na gagawin mo para ma-achieve nga yung gusto mong ma-achieve or yung goals na gusto mong ma-achieve. Halimbawa, your goal is to set your own business. So yung mga items on your to-do list might include, halimbawa, yung research ng mga area, mag-research ka ng mga areas kung saan mo itatayo yung mga business mo, o kaya magsusulat ka dito ng mga business plan, plan A, plan B, ganyan, at marami pang iba. At kung sa learning naman, so ito naman yung maaari mong gamitin para ma-achieve mo yung goals mo. So ayan nga, nakalagay diyan. Ilalagay mo nga yung goals mo. Halimbawa, yung goal mo is maging magaling sa pananalita dahil nga kapag nakikipag-communicate ka ay wrong grammar ka kahit na Tagalog. Ganyan. So, next is, the goals is important to me for the following reason. Ilalagay mo nga rin dyan yung mga reason mo kung bakit nga importante yung na ma-achieve mo nga yung goals na gusto mong ma-achieve. Next po. Ayan. So, ito na yung sinasabi ko na to-do list. Sabi nga dito, this to-do list will help me to take action to reach my goals. So, maglalagay ka nga dito ng mga maglalagay ka nga ng mga dito ng mga actions na maaaring makatulong sa iyo to reach your goals. Halimbawa, 'di ba sa yung goals mo, 'di ba, maging mahusay nga sa pananalita. So, dito maaari mong ilagay ilagay na actions para matulungan ka to reach your goals. Halimbawa, yung aralin mo yung mga tawag na dito, yung mga tunog, halimbawa yung ponema, ganyan. Tapos kung paano nga babigkasin ng tama yung mga salita, yung mga letra, ganyan. So next is, my goals is about realistic and challenging for this reason. Ilalagay mo rin dito kung bakit nga ba challenging challenging para sa iyo yung goals na gusto mong ma-achieve. Next, this will be the benefits of reaching my goals. Ilalagay mo din dyan yung benefits, kung ano nga bang benefits sa iyo ng para ma-achieve mo yung para habang ina-achieve mo yung goals mo. And sabi rin dito, if I don't reach my goal, I could face this consequence. Kung hindi mo naman ma-achieve yung goals mo, syempre, ilalagay mo din dyan kung ano nga ba yung mga possible na consequence na tawag na dito na makukuha mo. And the last one is, these are the people I can count on to help me reach my goals. Ilalagay mo rin dyan yung mga people, yung mga persons na maaaring makatulong sa iyo to reach yung mga gusto mong makamit. And the last, goal setting. Next po. Ayan. Goal setting organizer. So dito naman, maaari mong gamitin yung 5 W's and an H. Ito yung what, where, who, why, when, how. Gaya nga nang nandyan sa ating PowerPoint presentation. So yung una, what is my goals? Ano nga ba yung goal mo? Where will I work my goals? Saan mo nga ba gagawin yung goals mo? Who will help me to reach my goals? Sino yung maaring makatulong sa iyo to reach your goals? And why is this goals important to me? Bakit nga ba mahalaga yung goals mo para sa iyo? Tapos, when will I reach my goals? So kailan mo makakamit yung goals mo, and how will I reach my goals using this step? So yun nga, ilalagay mo rin dito yung mga steps or yung mga activities steps na maaring maging guide o maaring gawin mo para ma-achieve mo yung or ma-reach mo yung goals mo. So next po. Ayan, ngayon proceed naman na tayo sa another topic wherein sabi diyan, how can I model goal setting in my conversation with teachers about their own professional learning? So yung goal setting kasi it is not just a good idea for student, pero maaari nilang gamitin itong goal settings na to para maging aware yung mga teacher between the quality of their teaching and also the learning progress ng mga students nila. Kasi nga 'di ba dito nga ito nga goal setting na to, ito yung ginagamit ng mga students nila, nilalagay nga nila dito kung ano nga ba yung mga dapat nilang ma-achieve or ma-improve pa sa sarili nila. So maaring makatulong itong mga step na to, maaring makatulong sa mga teacher kung paano nga ba nila tuturuan o paano yung magiging way ng pagtuturo nila sa mga students nila. So next po. So ngayon, ito na yung mga strategic conversation na maaring niyang gamitin. So first is, think with me for a minute about where your students are in relation to your specific learning strategies. So dito nga mag-isip ka for a minute kung ano nga ba o kung saan yung mga students mo is magkakaroon nga ng kaugnayan sa mga specific learning targets mo. Kasi nga 'di ba yung mga students mo hindi naman sila pare-pareho when it comes in learning. Siyempre merong may magaling sa ganito, may magaling sa ganyan, meron din namang hindi. So dito kilalanin mo muna yung mga students mo kung saan nga sila magaling, kung ano nga ba yung mga dapat nilang i-improve pa sa sarili nila. At dito nga maaari mong gamitin yung mga goal settings na ginawa nila or gagawin nila, or maaari mo rin silang i-assess para nga malaman mo kung ano nga ba yung mga possible mga maaari mong gawin para matulungan sila sa kanilang pag-aaral. So next po. So ayan, so next sabi dito, let's talk a bit about the kinds of learning evidence you are collecting and what the evidence tells you about the gap between where your students are and where they are headed. So ayun nga dito pag-usapan mo na about sa mga nakolekta mong evidence sa mga students mo, like yun nga kung saan nga sila magaling or kung saan sila nahihirapan, ganyan, para alam mo kung ano pa yung mga needs nilang ma-achieve sa sarili nila or mga ma-improve pa sa pagkatuto nila. And the last one, pangatlo pala ayan. Think about what we just discussed and envisioning tomorrow's lesson. Let's talk about your specific goals for designing and adjusting your instruction in a way that will close the gap between where your students are performing and what that performance need to look like in order to hit your learning targets. So dito nga pag-usapan mo na nga yung mga specific na goals para sa pagdedesenyo or pagsasaayos ng iyong pagtuturo and yung mga instruction mo. At dapat din that will close the gap between your where your students are performing and kung ano pa nga yung mga dapat nilang gawin para ma-hit nila yung learning targets mo. And the last one po, next reporter po.
Thank you very much, Ms. Michael Laxamana. We are now moving on to the fourth one of strategic conversation starters, the kind of resources that might help you and your students to reach your goal. First, we have now made our diagnosis. We have now identified the gaps that we are needed to fill in. And now we have, the third one is we have designed the goals that we need to reach. On the fourth one po, the kind of resources that might help you and your students reach your goals, you can talk about or you can converse about the other teacher that you need to solidify na. You need to solidify the plan that you have made in order for you to achieve the goal that you want to achieve in your classroom. That there are different resources that we can use to build an effective goals for our classroom, for our setting. And we must consider these different materials, these different resources that we will be using because there are resources that are not appropriate with our students. There are resources that the it isn't really authentic. It isn't really relevant to our objectives or to our students. That's why in choosing those different kinds of materials, those different kinds of resources, we need to filter out those. And after filtering out, we need now to solidify that plan. We need now to solidify our strategy in order for us to reach our goal and also to make our students become an effective goal setter. Moving on to our moving on to this question, what if you observe a teacher distributing goal sheets to students that give them their goals for the week? Paano kung nakakita ka ng isang teacher na parang nagbibigay siya ng isang sheet of paper na nakalagay na doon ano dapat yung gagawin ng students, ano dapat yung mga skills na ma-achieve ng students, ano dapat yung mga abilities, mga learnings, information na kailangan ma-achieve ng student by that specific week. First, we must recognize the intention. Let us make clear the distinction between having a goal set for you between setting your own goal. Magkaiba po kasi yung pagbigay ng goal natin sa ating students and dun po sa isang part naman, dun sa students making their own goal. Because formative assessment po helps the students become independent. They help students become self-regulated. And by those two factors, it makes the students become competent learners. And it means that we must make our students become independent goal setters. Hindi dapat natin siya ginagawang spoon feeding. Yung paggawa ng goal or yung goal setting, it should not be spoon feeding to our learners or to our students because there's a possibility that they would become independent. They would become dependent rather. And kapag naging dependent na sila, wala nang growth na mangyayari sa kanila. Kasi nga, they just learn how to follow your rules, your objectives. But if we develop their independence, they have now the possibility and awareness to set their own goals. And at first, they may struggle because it is hard to make their own goals. They make their own goals. Hindi ba meron talagang time sa atin na mahirap sa atin maka-achieve and makamake ng ating own goals kasi hindi pa tayo sanay. But on the latter part, they will profit from it kasi nga it teaches them to be independent and in charge of their own learning. Second, help the teacher see that goal setting is something effective students do regardless of their age. We must explain to that teacher na nakita natin na nagbibigay ng sheets that we need to examine and understand the learning target. The learning targets and scaffolding through effective feedback. Katulad nga po ng diniscuss natin kanina na through feedback, we can learn how to effectively navigate our strategies in the classroom setup and also how to effectively develop a goal setter student. And the majority of students can learn set of appropriate goals for themselves. Now, there are different kinds of students. There are students that are independent. There are students that are not. But it is our goal to make those students become a better goal setter. That we need to examine and understand our learning target. Nasabihin mo dun sa teacher na yun ay, ma'am, yung strategy niyo po, yes, okay po yan na nagbibigay po kayo ng goal. But I think po it is more important to develop our students independence, to make our students a better goal setter. So pwede nyo pong gawin ito, pwede pong mag-independent learning sila, ganun. So hindi siya spoon feeding and You must help the teacher think about what scaffold students would need to be successful and think through the roadblocks they imagine might limit student success. So pwede mong, you can help the teacher to think of what scaffolding technique they might use to their students. What scaffolding technique they might use in their discussion in order for the students to not get overwhelmed by the discussion or by the information. And ano nga ba yung kailangan ng students to be successful in achieving their own goals? Ano nga ba yung kailangan nila? And tayo, as a teacher, our role is we are just helpers for our students to achieve their goal. Hindi yung ibibigay natin yung goal sa kanila. Hindi yung nasa tabi tayong kasama din sa goal nila. Kasi nga, every students have their own journey. And those roadblocks po na there are different kinds of journey and there are different kinds of challenges. And our role po as a teacher is we should help our students to overcome those challenges. We should just help them. Hindi yung gagawa tayo ng paraan para maalis yung blockage na yun. Kasi we need our students to become a better goal setter. Lastly, we are now we have discussed now the different strategies. We have now discussed about the different misconceptions, about the different conversations that we can use. We are now moving on to our last part of our discussion, which is the reflecting on fostering student goal setting. That teacher must believe that all students are capable of learning to set their own goals. That we should help our students examine, and also we should help other teachers to examine different ways of teaching and provide support for goal setting that can help them to be an independent individual, and not just an independent individual but also a better goal setter. So there are different types of questions that we can answer in order for us to assess ourselves if we are equipped enough, kung kaya na ba natin, if we are ready enough to help our students to learn the value of setting their own goals and regulating their own learning. Because setting their own goals and regulating their own learning has a powerful impact on their lives. Okay? And not just powerful impact on their lives, but also on their present and future achievements. On the first question, ang masasabi lang, ang main point lang po na itong first question na to is my strategy is still effective to my students? Is my strategy is still effective in pushing my students forward to their goals, combining with the formative assessment and goal setting? My development ba? Is there a development that is happening to my students using those two strategies, which is the formative assessment and goal setting? Or there is no development at all? So we need to consider formative assessment and goal setting in order for us to develop a better goal setter, a better goal setting ability to our students. We can combine formative assessment and goal setting in order for the students to achieve more, to learn more, to have their own learning style, to have their own learning in order for them to become independent and also to become an effective goal setter. Kasi nga po, if our strategy could not help in our students to become a goal setter, and yung formative assessment na po na ginagamit natin is not really effective in developing our students and their goal setting ability, then sabihin na natin sa sarili natin na ay hindi bala effective yung ginagamit ko. I need to think another way in order my students to develop their own goals, to have their own ability to learn, to independently learn. So yun lang po yung number one, is my strategy still effective by combining the goal setting and feedback that feeds forward, that is provide students with valuable insights into their progress and inform their thinking during goal setting. Second po, do teachers provide students with direct instruction on the goal setting? Dito lang po sa second question na we can answer is that does the direction on my goal setting is clear enough so that my students can follow? Do they take time to help the students understand learning targets and criteria for success by examining exemplars of excellent work to increase probability that students will be able to set just right goals? Or is my facing fast enough? Masyado bang mabilis yung face ko in a sense that my students couldn't keep up anymore with the goal? Or is my students or is my strategy slow enough in a sense that my students are now bored with my strategy? So we need to consider those factors in order for us to provide an effective goal setting process to our students. Kasi nga po, if the direction on the goal setting process is not clear, there's a possibility or there will be a domino effect on how the student would learn. Na the student would not learn independently, the student would learn wouldn't have a chance to develop their own learning, and there's a possibility that yung spoon feeding is it would make the child lazy. Kasi nga ini-spoon feed mo na lang. So it is important for you as a teacher to develop the goal setting process effective to your students. You need to consider the different factors that I said earlier. Is it still effective? Is it still relevant? Is it still authentic to your students? So by considering those different factors, it will have a probability to set just right goals. Just right goals, yung ano lang po yung nakaangkop na goals na kailangan ng students to achieve it. Ano lang po yung mga kailangan goals na yung student or yung learners natin needs to achieve. Moving on, do you encourage teachers to set and monitor their own professional goals? So it is not just about the goals of students that we are talking about, but also the goals of the teachers as well, goals of the faculty, and also the goals of the institution. That it is important for us teachers to influence our co-educators that formative assessment should be done regularly. That formative assessment shouldn't be done. That formative assessment shouldn't just assess dahil naisip mo lang ay magpapa-formative assessment ako kasi ang tagal ko nang din nagpa-formative assessment, or dahil ay nabisit ako sa mga estudyante ko, magpapa-formative assessment ako. Bring lengthwise, mag-long quiz tayo. Hindi po ganon. Formative assessment should be done regularly in order for you to assess the development and the growth of your student. And also, that formative assessment develops the goal setting for the students. Bakit nga ba niya na-develop? Kasi nga, formative assessment helps the students to develop their own learning. And by that formative assessment, it makes the students to learn more, to become a better goal setter. Na kailangan ko ma-review ito kasi ito yung feel ko, ito yung magiging laman ng assessment natin. Kailangan kong i-review ito kasi feel ko etong topic na to is importante. Merong main point na malalagay ito sa assessment namin. So, you as a teacher, you need to influence other teachers as well that you must do your formative assessment regularly in order for you to assess your students' growth. If the goals of the student are achieved. Kasi nga, kapag hindi na-achieve yung goals ng student, there's a possibility na may problem na nangyayari dun sa student or may na problem na nangyayari dun sa strategy mo. So it is important for you to assess yourself also. Not just assess yourself, but also influence other teachers as well. Those are reflecting on fostering goals. And that ends our discussion for today. And I do hope that you learned something from our discussion for today. We discussed the importance of goal setting and how to develop our students to become an independent goal setters. We also discussed the different misconceptions about goal setting. We also have discussed the different phases of goal setting on how we can develop goal setting to our students, enable for them to become an effective goal setters. And also we discussed about how we can improve goal setting not just in our classroom environment but also on the school environment. How can we influence different teachers how to do goal setting on their students as well? We should always remember this statement that goal setting is a continuous process of learning on how to learn. That it is guided by clear learning targets and fueled by feedback that feeds forward or feedbacking. It is fueled by feedbacking. That teachers need to set just right goals in order for the students to achieve it. And in order for the students to have these powerful strategies and making smart decisions on concentrating their learning efforts in order for them to achieve optimum development. And we should always remember that being a goal setter is only one part of becoming an informed learner. That this chapter explores how the students move beyond simply being a skilled goal setter into becoming an actively involved goal getter. That these students know how to self assess, they know how to regulate themselves, enable for them to make their learning decisions possible and also plausible. And in order for these students gather this information to direct and regulate their own learning, because it is important for us teachers to develop our students' own learning, to develop our students' independence. And by that independence, we can see the development and growth of our students. So we as future teachers on our next endeavors, we should be an example of a goal setter to our students. And we should also teach goal setting to our students, enable for our students to achieve their their achievements, to achieve their goals. And that ends our discussion for today. Again, we are the group of goal setting, and I really do hope that you learned something from our discussion. And moving on to our class participation bank, that we have this class participation bank, we have these 4 questions in order for you to really test if you really understood our discussion. You need to answer po these 4 questions. So you can answer these 4 questions and put your answers on the comment box below na lang po of this YouTube video in order for Sir Led to check your answers and also po to check if you really understood our discussion well, and if this discussion is well resonated to all of you. Again, we are the group of goal setting, and I do hope that you learned something from us. Thank you very much po.